This is February 1st, 2026. You are viewing Self-Mastery Training via Ageless Wisdom Teachings, sponsored by the Institute for Global Transformation. My name is Lyrata Barrett, and I welcome all of you who are on their way or who will view this after the fact, which is absolutely perfect. Let us take a moment to bond our energies together in this momentous occasion of the Aquarian full moon, which is happening within the next 6 minutes. We're right in the moment. So let's take a moment to close our eyes and check in to the energies the seed thought for this particular full moon is water of life am I, poured forth for thirsty men. Yes, waters of life am I, poured forth for thirsty men. Placing your focus wherever you are most comfortable, ideally within the center of the head, about 2 inches behind the eyes. Having taken a moment to relax your physical, astral, and mental bodies, through use of the breath, and maybe sounding a silent Om in each one. And from the center of the head, look out to the Ajna center, 2 to 3 inches beyond the forehead, aware that it is there, but placing your consciousness in the center of the head, seeing it as a bright golden sun, a small bright golden sun. Aware that as we meditate with throngs of people, light workers, world servers throughout the entire world, doing the same thing at this particular moment. pronounce the great invocation from the point of light within the mind of God. Let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God. Let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May the coming one return to earth. From the center, which the will of God is known, where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. And from the center, which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out. And may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. And together we can sound the Om 3 times. And so it is, in divine law and order. In this particular lesson, the aspects of things that will be covered are, it's first of all talking about the creative process and the rebuilding of the persona. These particular items will be covered. The focus of the aspirant in the ajna, acting as if, the cave as the blending of will and wisdom, how creativity is utilized through the meditation process, a meditation form for the manifestation of the soul-oriented persona. And remember, as I go through this, your job is not to read along. We can do that on the second when we go around, but simply to absorb the energies and allow the intelligence of your being to take it in, almost like osmosis, to absorb it. In our last lesson, I stated that aspirants initiate their own progress via alignment and reorientation. The highest point of alignment constitutes their goal of attainment at any given time. In other words, when they have fastened their attention to the ajna center, it becomes their immediate desired polarization. The next step, which is reorientation, consists of proceeding as if. This is one of the most important laws of the path, for it actually constitutes initiation. Initiation is a new beginning. Aspirants make a new beginning by acting as if they were polarized in the ajna, as if they were disciples. This explains the necessity of self-imposed discipline. Aspirants must then grasp the meaning of discipleship to the best of their ability and proceed to realize that meaning in action. In their daily meditations, they project their attention into the ajna center and proceed as if their consciousness was polarized in the head. This cave is actually a cavity in the brain and is the area in which the soul reflects its light. Its light. It is here that the interplay of energies between the ajna and head centers creates the magnetic field of mind in which the consciousness of soul and personality are blended. Disciples meditating in the ajna contact the light of pure reason, or the wisdom aspect of the second ray, via the ajna center. They contact the plan or will aspect of the first ray via the head center. As they contact the plan, the light of pure reason gives them understanding or comprehension of it, and it then becomes their will or intent, their purpose for incarnation. After the plan is contacted and somewhat comprehended, the meditation continues, but this time with a difference. Though their line of contact with the head center is maintained, the attention is refocused onto the concrete plane of mind via the throat center. Here, the intelligence aspect of the third ray is contacted and substance is given to their concept of the plan. It takes form in mental substance. Remember, the line of contact with the head center is held intact while the attention is refocused into the concrete mind. This is accomplished by the steady contemplation of the purpose of the form being created in mental substance. It is the action of will upon intelligence that produces the form-building activity, followed by the vitalization of said form via the power aspect of the first ray. Let us recapitulate for a moment. Disciples are polarized in the etheric ajna center. They align with the plan via the head center as they receive said plan in their consciousness. Polarized in the ajna, it is comprehended in abstract form. Maintaining their stability, or polarization in the ajna, they turn their attention to the concrete mind via the throat and steadily contemplate the purpose or divine plan. Thus, divine will acts upon intelligence, and the abstraction is given concrete form. The head, ajna, and throat centers are functioning together. The next step in their meditation process is the projection of the completed form into astral substance via its steady visualization and the spoken word. When the form can be seen to be completed, it is spoken into astral existence. The word or formula must be ascertained by the disciples themselves. The heart center comes into play at this stage of the meditation, giving life to the form. The love aspect of the second ray is contacted in the heart and expressed as aspiration. The spoken word then constitutes the manifested aspiration of the disciples to serve. It is this aspiration that attracts the form into physical plane manifestation. Their love is so great as to give life to their created form. This brings us right back again to the motive. The disciples are impulsed to build the form out of a selfless aspiration to serve rather than from a selfish desire to gain. Their spoken word expresses their great love and aspiration, and so is creative. The Word is made flesh. In this stage, the third eye, related to the Ajna center, throat and heart centers, are functioning together. After the form has been given separate astral existence via the spoken word, the disciples release it from their consciousness, knowing full well that their creation will take material form and accepting all karmic obligation for it. In the above paragraphs, I've given you the process for manifestation. Never before have I projected with such clarity this process in written form, because neither humanity nor the disciples in the world were ready for it. It may seem to you that this is a somewhat dangerous step. It is, but not in the sense you may think. It cannot be utilized without right motive, and is therefore useless to the misinformed and the unscrupulous. The danger lies in the fact that with increased knowledge comes increased responsibility. And where that responsibility is not shouldered, grave consequences ensue. In this instance, the karmic consequences of releasing information fall upon myself, as well as upon those of you who receive it. Our responsibilities must be met if humanity is to benefit from this act of yours and mine. The aspirants, in proceeding as if they were disciples, follow this meditation process, but with one difference. While they are motivated by the aspiration to serve, their immediate goal is the rebuilding of their threefold personality into a perfected instrument of service. That is the desired immediate manifestation. This can be accomplished in a number of ways. I am going to give you a form to follow and suggest that it be utilized as a daily individual meditation after the group meditation is completed. 1. Quickly align the three lower bodies and focus the consciousness in the Ajna center. Visualize a line of light extending through the cave to the head center. 2. Contact the divine plan. In this instance, the planned perfected instrument. Using the quote-unquote I as the reflected appearance of an essential reality, resolve it back to its reality. Repeat I a few times, contemplating it as a concept. Then relax the word form and become receptive to realization. 3. Building the form. When realization is grasped, throw out another line. Visualize a line of light extended to the throat center in the spine. Steadily contemplate the purpose and goal of the work as you watch your abstraction take form. This involves A. Stability. The consciousness must be maintained in the Ajna center, and B. The abstraction must be allowed to take form. The consciousness does not interfere with the work by attempting to build the form himself. If the realization is held steadily in the Ajna and contemplated along with its purpose and goal, much easier than it sounds, it will build its own form. This is extremely important. Now, because you are not yet adept, I must issue a warning at this point as well as rules that must be followed if you are to steer clear of trouble. Do not, under any circumstances, attempt to build a picture of a physical form. Believe me, my brothers and sisters, you are not adequately equipped to receive as yet such a picture free from glamour. If such a thing should occur, realize it is the result of an impingement of emotion, desire, or ambition, and discard it as such. Your forms, if the meditation is rightly and honestly motivated, will consist of those disciplines necessary for you to impose upon yourself for the sake of progress. Before using this meditation, eliminate all preconceived ideas as to what will constitute the realization to be received. Then, make sure of your motive. Cast out all desire and all ambition. For if that is the impulse motivating the meditation, it will avail you nothing but trouble. Do not use this meditation if it is wrongly motivated. To continue, 4. The alignment of the consciousness focused in the ajna must be maintained with the head center via the cave and the throat center. And 5, projection of the form. When the form is seen as complete, or the abstraction is realized in concrete form, it is visualized in the cave. It may be seen just in front of the etheric ajna, but that is a reflection. The visualization actually takes place in the cave. The consciousness remains in the ajna, but watches the cave. The line is then seen as extending down into the heart center in the spine. Disciples in the ajna contemplate their great love for humanity, and when the realization of that love reaches its zenith, they sound the audible Om, placing, as it were, their created form on the Om. Remember, the Om carries the expression of their selfless love. And 6, release the form. Then speak the words, "So it is," in divine law and order, and take your mind from the work done. In going through this material, it's really interesting, but I'm going to assume that all things are as they are supposed to be. I'm going to know that all things are as they are supposed to be. I did creative thinking before I did this Soul and its Instrument. I now realize that nature of the soul precedes Soul and its Instrument. Okay? There, believe it or not, there was as I did the investigation on this work, there was a bit of there's some schools of thought that actually stated that Soul and its Instrument comes before nature of the soul. Reading lesson 12, it is now obvious to me that Soul and its Instrument comes after nature of the soul. Okay? Nature of the soul, as I said, is 40 lessons, like creative thinking. which takes at least almost 2 years, almost about a year and a half. Okay. Soul in this instrument is 18 lessons, which was, in terms of timing, it felt perfect after that creative thinking, which was also 40 lessons. Okay. This particular lesson is an extremely important lesson, given the fact that it's giving us the rudiments, extremely important rudiments of meditation that teaches us the creative process. And what is the creative process? The creative process is that process wherein we are taught how to manifest goals, how to bring things into manifestation. This is not necessarily something that is spoken about in general terms. Okay? It is inner level teachings. Okay? Because as it teaches here, someone who is untrained, or someone whose heart is not in the right place, or who comes from a place of selfishness and greed, can use this and in the end up hurting themselves in the long run, because it's not done with right action. I'll be very honest, okay? That's why the warnings are here. So, it does speak about a number of things that are extremely important that I'd like to share with you. Number one, this. Yeah, there we go. This is a diagram of the 3 centers, or at least a few of the centers that they're talking about. Okay? The Ajna center. We know that that is 2 to 3 inches. Sometimes, let's put it 2 to 6 inches beyond the forehead. Okay? Mm-hmm. The cave in the center of the head, usually said to be about 2 inches behind the eyes. But as we can see, it's really about 2 inches or so, 2 to 3 inches in the center of the head. Okay? The cave, let's go through a few fundamentals. As I said to you, I think it was last week and maybe the week before, the Ajna center is the switchboard, so to speak, for all of the centers below it. The throat center, which is here. Okay, this is the area of the throat center. The heart, all of the centers, all of the chakras below. The Ajna center is the switchboard. When you're here in the Ajna center, it's a totally different experience than when you're in any other center. Okay? And when you're here in the cave, which is not a location per se. The cave is more so of a frequency. Okay? It is visualized when you move your energies out to the Ajna, and you've integrated the 3 aspects of the lower centers, the physical, the astral, and the mental, and you've moved it out into the Ajna center. And you're getting ready. You've connected with, by the way, up here is the head center. Okay. And above that, somewhere, is the soul. Okay. So many times when you're here in the Ajna Center, you'll hear in the meditation, look up, word, in no particular focused area necessarily. It's not a, and connect with the energy of the soul. So that's a diagonal movement. Okay? It's a diagonal movement that takes you energetically above the head center, and connects you with the energy of the soul. And when you feel that connection, you sound a silent Om. And what happens is there's a line of light that connects the ajna to the ajna. And then from the ajna, you're looking inward, past the forehead, into this area that we know where the cave is, the frequency of the cave is. And we're imagining it or seeing it as a small golden sun. Okay? So the cave is known as the heart center in the head. If you remember, I said all of the lower chakras have a place within the brain. The cave is known as the heart center in the head. It's a center that you build yourself. Okay? You build it. You formulate it into something. Your focus first of all, your knowledge of it and your focus inwardly to it begins to build that center. And this center, and by the way, this is the area of also of the pineal gland. Okay. This is the area, the ajna center is the area of really the pituitary. When it comes online when the ajna, which is the feminine aspect, is receptive. It's the receptive pole, or the lunar aspect, to this becomes the sun. As I said, the small golden sun, the more masculine aspect. Okay. When that awareness, our awareness, takes this into consideration of the cave, the ajna, head center, okay, and as it says here, the pineal gland is here, okay, it creates a triangulation of energy, okay? And it's said that this heart center, this cave center, is where the child of God is born. It's known by many names: Plato's cave, Merlin's cave, the room at the top of the stairs, the upper chamber. It's also known as the alchemical wedding of Christian Rosencrantz. That's the Rosicrucian method. So these are centers that we, especially the cave, the heart center and the head, are centers that we create on our own. As it shows you the pituitary here, thalamus, and there's another center here at the back of the head, or a little bit above the throat center, which we'll talk about at another time. So I wanted you to see this so that you can have this in your awareness and keep that in your focus as you're meditating, okay? In our last lesson, I stated that aspirants initiate their own progress via alignment and reorientation. Alignment is the aspect of what we do when we are focusing on those centers, the physical, the astral, the mental, the ajna. We are creating an alignment. And when we take it into the cave, which we do in more advanced meditations, it is a vertical line upwards. Okay, it's a vertical line upwards through the head center, which is 2 to 3 inches above the crown, into higher centers. That's called an alignment. So aspirants initiate their own progress via alignment and reorientation. The highest point of alignment constitutes their goal of attainment at any given time. So alignment constantly grows as we grow. Our alignment grows. In other words, when they have fastened their attention to the ajna center, that ajna center becomes their immediate desired polarization. And everything begins to shift when you are polarized in the ajna center. The next step, which is reorientation, and by the way, in reference to polarization ajna, once you're polarized in the ajna center, and you can practice this, washing your dishes, vacuuming your floor, talking to people, very interesting, being polarized in the ajna center and talk to people. You get a totally different experience. Because the ajna center it's not an emotional center. It's a mental center. Okay? So you have the ability to experience looking out through that center, speaking, listening, observing through that center, and your reference point begins to change. How you experience things begins to change because you're used to experiencing things from the heart, from the throat, from the solar plexus, so forth and so on. We know what that feels like. But when you start working with the ajna center, you become free of those tugs, pull and tugs that are more emotional. It's not happening there at the ajna center. And your ability to speak from a different place also changes. Okay? It's really powerful. The next step, which is reorientation, consists of proceeding as if. This is one of the most important laws of the path, for it actually constitutes initiation. Initiation is a new beginning. Initiation is many things. Initiation is usually defined as an expansion of consciousness, and it is. And as I said before, the entire planet is undergoing initiation as we speak. That includes every being on the planet is undergoing initiation as we speak. They just don't realize it, okay? So we are all in the throes of initiation. There are many of us who walk the path who know. You know, as a matter of fact, all of this chaos that we're experiencing right now is humanity going through the first initiation, okay? So the initiation of the heart. So it is a, initiation is not anything that should be hidden any longer. It is a thing, okay? And people need to, well, at some point in time, they will know it when it is time. But it's becoming more and more out there as the teachings are becoming revealed. They're no longer veiled. Initiation is a new beginning. Aspirants make a new beginning by acting as if they were polarized in the ajna. So when we first go to experience our world in the ajna center, it might feel like, am I there? Is this the right, does this feel, because it's new, okay? Remember, as I said before, one of the easiest ways that I was taught by my teacher, who taught me this information, is to imagine you're a unicorn with the unicorn horn on your head when you're working to get to the ajna center. And place an apple in your imagination. Place an apple on that unicorn head. On that horn. On that horn. Place an apple there. That way you have something to move the energy out to that you can experience, you can feel it. Okay? And live there. Once you start doing that repetitively, it gets to the point where you won't need that anymore. You'll just be able to go. Okay? Aspirants make new beginning by acting as if they were polarized in the ajna, as if they were disciples. This explains the necessity of self-imposed discipline. Yes, it takes discipline to do all of this. Aspirants must then grasp the meaning of discipleship to the best of their ability and proceed to realize that meaning in action. Now, I think I did give you a definition of discipleship. A disciple is one who is committed to the path, walks the path, is clear that that is their purpose in life. Their focus is service to others. They're willing to make sacrifices. They're committed to the inner government of the divine. And yeah. And they live within that framework. Okay? A disciple is not necessarily, the 12 disciples of the Christ, of Jesus Christ or Yeshua. Okay? A disciple is anyone who is committed to the evolution of humanity and is willing to see it through as an assist to the inner government of the divine. Okay? And the divine. That's a disciple. In their daily meditations, they project their attention into the ajna center and proceed as if their consciousness was polarized in the head. This cave is actually a cavity in the brain and is the area in which the soul reflects its light. How beautiful is that? The area in which the soul reflects its light. It is here that the interplay of energies between the ajna and the head centers creates the magnetic field of mind in which the consciousness of soul and personality are blended. This makes much more sense, seeing that diagram, right? Makes much more sense, right? So, and it's also that center that, as it said, when you have the ajna, the cave, head center, all connecting together, what happens is that at some point in time, it creates a triangulation around the head, which is what is seen many times in artwork around people, that halo. That's that halo, Okay, so because it lights up the head. You know, it connects you in a totally different way. And at some point in time when you are really doing this work as a true disciple, that energy is constantly radiating from you. Okay? Okay. It is here that the interplay of energies between the ajna and the head centers creates that magnetic field of mind in which the consciousness of soul and personality are blended. And remember, the whole purpose of understanding this work, the soul and its instrument, is for us to begin to understand the way of integration with the soul, the integration of the personality and the soul. Lifetimes have gone by wherein the personality has ruled. And now, with this awareness, the very fact that you're in this class, anyone who's interested in this class, means that, and the soul, for lifetimes, when the personality is ruling, is not really paying attention to its vehicle. We talked about that before. It doesn't pay attention to its vehicle at all, its instrument. But there comes an incarnation where that personality or the persona awakens to the fact of the soul and begins to reorient itself to the soul. And once it starts to do that and begins to want to live a life in alignment with the soul, then the soul begins to get the word, now I can begin to focus on this instrument, my instrument that I've chosen for this particular lifetime. Okay? And that begins a totally different interaction between soul and personality. Usually, for all of those lifetimes before, what we're dealing with is conscience. The conscience. Once the personality begins to awaken to the fact that it's the soul that it should be striving for, that it is no longer, it's not the boss. Something bigger than itself is the true boss, and starts reaching for it, then that changes everything. And what happens is there's an approximation between soul and the personality, wherein the personality is no longer the boss. The soul begins to take up more space within the personality until the point where the person now becomes soul infused. Okay? The soul now is the boss. Okay. These are exciting times when we talk about this. Is exciting times. Now, we get into the subject of rays, which we haven't even discussed, but is discussed all throughout Nature of the Soul. Okay? And Nature of the Soul, again, is another body of work that cannot be studied by yourself. Don't even try to study it by yourself. You can't, it doesn't happen. It only works within a group context because it's all soul focused. Okay? And so apparently I'll be teaching that at some point in time in the future. It is my favorite of all of the teachings, if it's possible to have a favorite. Disciples meditating in the ajna contact the light of pure reason or wisdom aspect of the second ray via the Ajna center. There's 7 rays. These rays are the energies of the divine flowing through. They are the builders of our universe, the 7 rays, okay? The rays are a huge topic which takes books in the Bailey material to be able to understand and to read through and to get a grasp on. But they're basically 7 rays. There's the ray 1 is purpose, will. Ray 2 is love, wisdom. Our solar system is a ray 2 solar system. Our cosmos is a ray 2 cosmos, love, wisdom. Our planet is a 3rd ray planet. 3rd ray is divine creativity, divine intelligence, matter, divine matter, mother, Ma. It's divine substance. Ray 4 is harmony through conflict. Ray 5, concrete, science and knowledge. Ray 6, devotion. And ray 7 is the aspect of bringing spirit into matter. It's what we're going through right now. Right? So ray 7 is happening right now as we speak. Okay? Ray 6 was the Piscean age. Ray 7 is the Aquarian age. Okay? Ray 6 was militaristic, fanaticism, devotion, you know, transcending matter, reaching up for something. Matter wasn't good. Reaching up for something beyond matter. Ray 7 is the opposite. It's bringing matter and anchoring it into, reaching up to spirit and bringing matter, bringing spirit into matter, and spiritualizing matter through that process. Because everything is sacred. Everything, all energy is sacred. Okay? All energy is divine. So, those are the 7 aspects of the 7 basic rays, just skimming through it really quick. And their application is in everything. In plant life, in animal life, in human life, in everything around us. We can see aspects of these rays when you know about them. And first ray, divine will and power. Divine will and power. So those are basically the rays, and every human being has 5 basic rays. The soul has all of the rays, all 7 rays, which is magical in itself. So we are jumping ahead by talking about rays right now. Bottom line, I'm telling you that. Disciples meditating in the ajna contact the light of pure reason or the wisdom aspect of 2nd ray via the ajna center. Interesting that pure reason is what is experienced when you're looking through the ajna center. That's quite interesting. They contact the plan or will aspect of the 1st ray, divine will, power, purpose, via the head center. As they contact the plan, now what are we talking about when we talk about the plan? I talked about the inner government of the divine, right? The inner government of the divine is something that we'll go through at some point in time if we decide to go through, if I decide to teach nature of the soul. But in that inner government is this group of masters and adepts who have been in form, and many are still in form, but they have the ability to connect both ways. They have been in form. There are people who have kind of worked through this being human and have exceeded the job where most people usually live on average levels. They've gone through it. They've gone through levels of initiation, maybe the first, second, third initiation, and they've done it so well that they know what it is. They're committed. They are dedicated. They are thinkers, highly intelligent people. And they are working in what is known as the hierarchy. The hierarchy works out the divine plan for humanity. Okay? They work out the divine plan for humanity. And I've talked about incessantly in creative thinking that we are birthing a new kingdom right now, the fifth kingdom. The kingdom of conscious souls. Those people in incarnation, light workers, world servers, who know that their job, their mission in this lifetime is to be a bridgeway between humanity and the hierarchy. As we move into the Aquarian age, everything is changing, as we know, and humanity is evolving. And in that evolutionary trajectory, we are moving beyond the emotional level into the mental. And there is a shift happening where awakened souls that are on the planet, coming into the planet and on the planet, are going to be, oh God, this is not easy to say. They will be externalizing the hierarchy, because the hierarchy the hierarchy had to withdraw around the time of Atlantis. It had to withdraw. Okay? The hierarchy was present, much more available previously. But Atlantis, everything, whatever was going on in Atlantis was so egregious that the hierarchy had to withdraw. And the Antakarana, which was strong in that time, was seemingly broken. It wasn't really broken. And now the work that the light workers and world servers are doing is rebuilding the collective, the hierarchy. The Antakarana. We're rebuilding our Antakarana now. Okay, so yeah, that's what the hierarchy. So the hierarchy is the inner government, part of the inner government of the divine, and they get their word, their instructions from another aspect that's higher than them, Okay? They get the download, and their job is to make sure that it's implemented and it works out for humanity. That's the hierarchy. And we get our download from the masters and within the hierarchy, and we work it out in form. Okay? That's our job, if we're doing the job well. So, and it's an important process, especially now, because this particular planet is extremely important to the entire solar system. It yeah, we hold within this particular planet the fire of the Kundalini, planetary Kundalini, that can affect the entire solar system. Okay? So all the planets are protective of this planet. So that, and we're not yet a sacred planet, which is why that fire is not up and out yet. It's once it is, planet Earth will be one of these sacred planets, of which I think there are about 6 sacred planets right now. 6 or 7, okay? I can't remember, but so where was I? As they contact the plan, the light of pure reason, and pure reason is that which actually one can actually view, see, experience, sense when you're standing in that ajna center, gives them understanding. As they contact the plan, the light of pure reason gives them understanding or comprehension of it, and it then becomes their will or intent, their purpose for incarnation. After the plan is contacted by disciples and somewhat comprehended, the meditation continues, but this time with a difference. Though their line of contact with the head center is maintained, the attention is refocused onto the concrete plane of mind via the throat center. We've talked about that before. Throat center is the concrete plane of mind. That's why I said, when you're in meditation and you hear a lot of chatter, know that you're in the throat center. Okay? Rise above it, and it'll get quiet. Here, the intelligence aspect of the third ray, divine intelligence, divine matter, divine substance, is contacted, and substance is given to their concept. And substance is given to their concept of the plan. So, again, we're talking about conscious creativity. Creating consciously. Creating consciously means that you're creating in alignment with the divine. You're not creating anything that you want just for the hell of it. That's not what you're doing. Conscious creativity means that you are taking on a level of responsibility as a disciple, commitment, integrity, selflessness. Okay? So that, and you're making sure that what it is you're creating is in alignment with the divine. And if it's not in alignment with the divine, you're not going to create it. Okay? This is accomplished by the steady contemplation of the purpose of the form being created in mental substance. This is accomplished by the steady contemplation, key word, steady contemplation of the purpose of the form being created in mental substance. So again, you're not creating any willy-nilly thing just for the hell of it. It takes time for you. If you decide you want to create something, then you're going to look at what is it I want to, what do I want to create? Why do I want to create it? What will be its purpose? Is it harmful to anything or anybody? And if so, then you have to go back to the drawing board. Though all those kinds of things are taken into consideration, which means you take time to contemplate, meditate on what it is. You just, oh, I want to do this, boom. And you start, no, you can't do it that way, okay? That won't work. This is accomplished by the steady contemplation of the purpose of the form being created in mental substance. In mental substance. We haven't even gotten down to physical substance yet. This is all done in the mind. Contemplation, meditation. It is the action of will upon intelligence that produces the form-building activity, followed by the vitalization of said form via the power aspect of the first ray. What does that mean? It is the action of will upon intelligence. So the formula goes, and I go through this extensively in creative thinking. When you have divine will, power, purpose, ray 1, impressing divine intelligence, substance, matter, mother, Ma. When divine will impresses divine intelligence or matter, matter which previously just lies inert begins to become activated. That's what it's talking about. And it perfectly outpictures or manifests that which was contemplated and meditated upon. Okay? It perfectly outpictures that. Meaning, even if the meditation and contemplation intent was greed, manipulation, anything for the self, it will perfectly outpicture that, okay? With all its flaws, okay? So many times we have this experience, or we have the manifestations of things that have been created. Perfect example, our children, okay? We create children, we create these beings, but many times it's done unconsciously, okay? And we have to play catch up later on and try to fix what was unconsciously done, because they come through with all kinds of they come through with gifts, but they also come through with weaknesses, okay, that need to be that are based on the energies of the mother and the father, okay. They pick up on those flaws, or we create something that we have this idea and we go hell-bent on creating it, and then we realize, oh my God, what did I do? You know, I think a perfect example of that is probably what happened with Oppenheimer. Okay? When this atomic bomb was created, was brilliant man, totally connected, working with the energy of radiation. That radiation is an example of divine will, purpose, and power. It's Ray 1 energy. But once it got out, look what happened. Once it got into the hands of all of these people who wanted to be in control and power over, Piscean age, power over, okay? Look what happened. And it had to be pulled back, and it's kept under lock and key, you know, now, and it's probably could be used for some really powerful things if the minds of the people were in the right place. So, as it says here, so we talked about first ray, we talked about second ray, we talked about third ray, we talked about the energy of how things are created when Ray 1 impresses Ray 3, stuff happens. Otherwise, Ray 3 is just quiet. It just lays there. It's just substance. It doesn't move. Substance hates change, right? So, but the energy of Ray 1 is so strong. And the purpose of Ray 3 is amazing. The purpose of Ray 3, divine intelligence, divine matter, is to create whatever it is that Ray 1 impresses it with. Isn't that magical? I just love that. I love it. Anyway. And then the union, just take it out one more time, the union of Ray 1 with Ray 3 creates Ray 2, love, wisdom, consciousness, soul. Okay, that's where the soul of things come. So let's recapitulate for just a moment. Disciples are polarized in the etheric ajna center. They align with the plan via the head center, and as they receive said plan in their consciousness, polarized in the ajna, it is comprehended in abstract form. So, to me, that means it is comprehended in abstract form, right? So, that means to me that that is the interplay between ajna, the heart and the head, the cave, the head center. So there's a communication that goes on between the three. And when it does, in meditation, it creates an abstract form, an idea. Okay? creates an idea. So they align with the plan via the head center. As they receive said plan in their consciousness, polarized in the ajna, it's comprehended in abstract form. Okay. And as they said, receive said plan in their consciousness. Yes, because the heart center in the head when we get into future meditations, you will see that that heart center in the head is an aspect of, it connects you with what we call the conscious. You become focused in that center, the conscious soul incarnate. So, and the alchemy between these three centers creates whatever that idea is. It's comprehended in the abstract form. It's meaning it's above the brain. The energy that's coming in, the information that's coming in is coming in above the brain. It's not coming in through the throat center, it's concrete mind, it's none of that. It's above that. And it comes in there very purely. You know, it's where ideas are born and then brought down into form. Maintaining their stability, or the polarization in the ajna, they turn their attention to the concrete mind, or the throat center, and steadily contemplate the purpose or the divine plan. Thus, divine will, ray 1, acts upon intelligence, ray 3, and the abstraction is given concrete form. That idea begins to manifest. The head, ajna, and throat centers are functioning together. This step in their meditation process is the projection of the completed form into astral substance via its steady visualization and the spoken word. Boy, she's not kidding. She projected this in a way that she's never projected it before, or he. When the form can be seen to be completed, it is spoken into astral existence. The word or formula must be ascertained by the disciples themselves. So this is all part of the formula that they're giving you. The heart center comes into play at this stage of the meditation. The heart center below the throat chakra, giving life to the form. The love aspect of the second ray is contacted in the heart and expressed as aspiration. The spoken word then constitutes the manifested aspiration of the disciples to serve. It is this aspiration that attracts the form into physical plane manifestation. Their love is so great as to give life to their created form. This brings us right back again to the motive. Do I need to go back over any of that? I didn't take time to explain any of that, but I think it will begin to make itself clear as we go forward. This brings us right back again to motive. The disciples are impulsed to build a form out of selfless aspiration to serve, rather than from a selfish desire to gain anything. Their spoken word expresses this great love and aspiration, and so is creative. The word is made flesh, which means that which was contemplated, that which was meditated upon, that which was taken through all of these major steps, now becomes, the Word was made flesh, now becomes a physical thing. It manifests. In this stage, the third eye, related to the ajna center, throat and heart centers, are functioning together. After the form has been given separate astral experience via the spoken word, the disciples release it from their consciousness, knowing full well that their creation will take material form and accepting all karmic obligation for it. Yeah. In the above paragraphs, I've given you the process for manifestation or conscious creativity. Never before have I projected with such clarity this process in written form, because neither humanity nor the disciples in the world were ready for it. It may seem to you that this is a somewhat dangerous step. It is, but not in the sense you may think. It cannot be utilized without right motive, and is therefore useless to the misinformed and the unscrupulous. The danger lies in the fact that with increased knowledge comes increased responsibility. And where that responsibility is not shouldered, grave consequences can ensue. In this instance, the karmic consequences of releasing information fall upon myself as well as upon those of you who receive it. Our responsibilities must be met if humanity is to benefit from this act of yours and mine. So basically they're saying that the difference between the Dark Lodge and the White Lodge really occurs at the third initiation, number one. Number two, basically. Until that time, we're all learning the same thing. We are all learning the same thing, regardless of what side you're on. Okay? It's only at the third initiation that there is a cleavage. There's a fork in the road. And it's at that point in time that it's decided, are you going to be working with the White Lodge or are you going to be working with the Dark Lodge? Okay? So it's good to know. The aspirants, in proceeding as if they were disciples, follow this meditation process, but with one difference. While they are motivated by the aspiration to serve, their immediate goal is the rebuilding of their threefold personality into a perfected instrument of service. That is the desired manifestation. So this becomes the initial goal that we utilize this upcoming meditation for. This can be accomplished in a number of ways. And I'm going to give you a form to follow and suggest that it be utilized as a daily individual meditation after the group meditation is completed. So I've gone through basically all of those steps, and I will go through it, hold on, again. It's good to go through it because the more you hear it, the more it sinks in. Number one, and then we'll go through the meditation. Quickly align the three lower bodies and focus the consciousness in the ajna. Visualize a line of light extending through the cave to the head center. So you have taken the physical, astral, mental body. You have looked out at the ajna center, and you've moved your consciousness from the brain into the ajna center. Then you integrate those three lower bodies, physical, astral, mental, into a unit, one unit, that flows out to the ajna center. Is magnetized, in truth, is magnetized by the ajna center into the ajna center. Then you visualize a line of light extending through the... I would also connect with the energy of soul above. Sound that silent Om. Move the awareness or consciousness into... Visualize a line of light extending through the cave to the head center, which means that you have to move your awareness into that heart center within the brain, the cave. Okay? And then you experience a line of light that connects upward into the head center. We'll go through this. Contact the divine plan, in this instance, the planned perfected instrument. So that's the aspect of rebuilding the threefold personality into a perfected instrument of service. Contact the divine plan, in this instance, the planned perfected instrument. That's what we're going for. Building that threefold personality into a perfected instrument. Using the word I as the reflected appearance of an essential reality, resolve it back to its reality. So that means take a moment and contemplate this word I. What does it really mean? Repeat I a few times, contemplating it as a concept. Then relax the word form and become receptive to realization. There is a seed thought that fits this extremely well. Having pervaded the universe with an aspect of myself, I remain. Okay? So it's connecting you with an aspect of the deeper I within you. Not just the I, the personality. Who is this I we're talking about? Having pervaded the universe with an aspect of myself, I remain. Building the form, point 3. When realization is grasped, throw out another line. Visualize a line of light extending to the throat center. And the way that moves is from the cave out to the ajna center and down into the throat center. That's the way it's actually supposed to move. Steadily contemplate the purpose and goal of the work as you watch your abstraction, your idea, take form. This involves stability, because the consciousness is anchored in the ajna, and it also involves the abstraction. The abstraction must be allowed to take form. The consciousness does not interfere with the work. by attempting to build a form. So the concrete throat, the throat center stays quiet. It's not about the throat center thinking this through. This is about the idea taking its own form. If the realization is held steadily in the ajna and contemplated along with its purpose and goal, which is much easier than it sounds, it will build its own form. This is extremely important. And then come the warnings. Okay? Eliminate all preconceived ideas. I skipped. Do not, under any circumstance, attempt to build a picture of a physical form. Okay, you don't want to do that. You don't want to think this through. If such a thing should occur, it is the result of an impingement of the emotional body or the emotion, desire, or ambition, and discard it. Your forms, if the meditation is rightly and honestly motivated, will consist of those disciplines necessary for you to impose upon yourself for the sake of progress. Before using this meditation, eliminate preconceived ideas as to what will constitute the realization to be received. Make sure your motive is clear. Cast out all desire and ambition. Because if that kind of surreptitiously gets into the meditation, it shifts the motivation and it's tainted. The energy is tainted. It will avail you of nothing but trouble. Do not use this meditation if your motivation is not clear. Right action. And number 4, the alignment of the consciousness focused in the ajna must be maintained with the head center via the cave and the throat center. So all three are working at the same time. And number 5 is the projection of the form. When you see a form, if you see a form, and usually you will see something, when the form is seen as complete, it is visualized in the cave. It may be seen just in front of the etheric ajna center, because the ajna center is actually in the etheric body. But that is a reflection. The visualization actually takes place in the cave, and the consciousness remains in the ajna, but watches the cave. The line is then seen as extending down into the heart center in the spine. So from the ajna to the throat center, down into the heart center in the spine. And remember, throat center, heart center, these centers open up in the back, 3 to 6 inches in the back of the spine, not in the front. Disciples in the ajna contemplate their great love for humanity, and when the realization of that love reaches its zenith, they sound the audible Om, placing their created form on that Om. Remember, the Om carries the expression of their selfless love. And lastly, and most importantly, once all of that is done, forget about it. Walk away. Let it go. It's already out there. You need not toy with it any longer. The work has been done. Allow the universe to do what it's supposed to do. Okay? And seal it with not only the Om, but so it is in divine law and order. Okay? Take your mind away from the work, and it's done. What a powerful lesson. Oh my God. So, what we're going to do now is the meditation of rebuilding the threefold persona into an instrument of service.
That was a great lesson. And it took me a while to get into it, or not into it, you know, as it went on, I understood more, and I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad. Thank you. Yes, it does that. It kind of envelops you, doesn't it? Kind of takes over your being. It kind of envelops you, pulls you in. Um, okay, prepare for meditation. Take a deep breath, and as you release it, relax the physical body. Know that speaking to your nervous system and requesting that it relax the physical body, it does obey. Take another deep breath. And as you release it, move into the astral or emotional body. Seeing it as a calm pool of water, reflective of the sun's light. And take a third deep breath, moving into the mental body, seeing it as an ovoid around your head, becoming awake, aware, alert as you release that breath. And looking outward from that mental body into the ajna center, outward to the ajna center, move your consciousness 2 to 3 inches beyond the forehead into the ajna center. And settle your energies there. And from the ajna center, look back into that mental body and integrate the physical, astral, and mental bodies into one unit. Anchored into the ajna center. Focus your consciousness there in the ajna center. Visualize a line of light extending through the cave. So from the ajna center, see a line of light extending from the ajna center into that frequency known as the cave. And see that cave as a bright golden sun. Small bright golden sun, radiating, pulsing. It's a frequency. The cave is a frequency. Now, as this light extends into the cave, look upward to the head center, 2 to 3 inches above the crown of the head, the top of the head. contact the divine plan. In this case, the divine plan is the perfected instrument. Identify yourself as the soul in the Ajna center. And as the soul in the Ajna, turn your gaze back to the center of the head and upward from the center of the head through the head center, with your relationship between the divine plan and your persona instrument. Maintain the focus in the Ajna. And maintain your focus also on your relationship with the purpose of perfecting your threefold instrument and turning it into a perfected instrument. Release any and all preconceived ideas about a perfected persona instrument by sounding the seed thought. I release all ideals, thoughts, and desires for and of a perfected persona to the purifying light of the divine plan. Experience that seed thought as a tone, a frequency, letting the words go and simply aligning and following the frequency of the sound of that seed thought. For a few moments. Release all desire and ambition for a so-called perfected instrument by audibly sounding the Om. Relax in that stillness for a few moments. Then take a deep breath. And as you release it, slowly relax the attention and return to normal focus. Have a great day, great evening.
Thank you so much.
And
Thank
hope
you.
to see you in a couple weeks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.